We welcome you into worship today with these words from Dr. Sophia Bendecourt, who is president of our Unitarian Universalist Association. The value most you use describe as central to their faith, to their living, and to their mission of the congregations is love itself. We are a people guided by and centered in our engagement with all that love requires. This should come as no surprise. We have long understood ourselves to be the bearers of love and justice in the world, those who show up for peace and freedom, who side with love in the face of all that would otherwise diminish our humanity. It is meaningful when a community of people known for diverse and divergent beliefs builds consensus on something that is impactful. Love is what we express as our highest value. Every time, larger than life, right at the center of our living tradition. A common question that you often face is, how can we be a religion if we do not lay claim to one clearly delineated theological truth? The answer is love. Our inherited theological tradition places its faith in love. Given everything our world faces today, having faith in love is no small thing. We invite you now to rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn, Come, Come, Whoever You Are.
And we're going to do this as a round, but we're going to do it all together first, and then we'll break into two parts and sing it as a round. If you want to add the ostinato, though you've broken your vows, please feel free, although I won't be leading that part. We'll do the round 3 times, and then we'll come back together and do it in unison at the end. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, this is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. This side. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, this is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, this is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. And all together. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Thank you.
And so welcome to the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge. My name is Nathan. I'm one of your ministers. Reverend Chris, your other minister, is away today. A few things for you to know. First of all, yesterday we hosted about 40 to 50 people here for Together Baton Rouge and Together Louisiana training. So this is exciting for this church because we trained a bunch of leaders to try to make the state better. But it's also important for you if you see various things laying around the church, it's just because it was storming yesterday. So if you see something that looks like it belongs to Together Baton Rouge, it's where it needs to be. It's going to get picked up. Second, this past week we started our the entire Sunday school wing over there, the education wing. During the week, during the summer, we rent it to a camp. So if you see a bunch of weird toys just propped up against the wall, you are welcome to play with them, but they are, unless they are load-bearing toys. But anyway, so that's what is going on in all of that section of the church. Other than respecting their space, just ignore it and just pretend like it's not there. The things for you to know on, I'm going to say June 6th, but whatever, that's next Saturday, isn't it? Yes. This 8th, whatever this upcoming Saturday is a men's retreat. It's the 8th, correct? Correct. Online people, we're discussing what actual day the 8th is. It is a men's retreat from 10 to 2, 10 to 3? 9 to 1, we think. Anyway, it's at the Hilltop Arboretum. Talk to me. You can talk to Angus over there if you would like to come. This is for anyone who's identifies anywhere in the male spectrum of identities. During middle hour today, we are going to have a meet and greet with me in room 6, which is way back there, and then the social justice team sub-team on voting. Does that make sense? There's different sub-teams the social justice team does. One of them is voting, and that will be in room 7. And then, you know, what we're doing for this month, we're going to do a whole month of Pride. And we're going to build up, instead of having one service that is Pride service, a whole month we're going to build more and more Pride. On the 29th is both the Pride Fest downtown, and we're also going to have a Pride prep party here to finish priding up the church. Oh, that's a lot. Y'all good? Good. I've ordered the rain to stop, so we're going to determine how effective I am as your minister. We are so glad you are with us. Welcome to the Unitarian. Online people, we got you too. So glad you're with us. Welcome to the Unitarian Church.
So good morning, y'all. This is the day that we honor the new adults among us, those youth who have been part of our religious education classes and are now graduating from that and stepping into a place of being adults among us. They don't happen to be in the room this morning. Some of them will be here for the second service, and we honor them at both services because the community is larger than any one service, and we all welcome them. So today we will be honoring Angelina Colata, Gavin Taylor, and Troy Bryant. I would urge you, there are hymnals in the coffee area to sign, as well as cards to sign for them. Please sign and give them well wishes. This new adult ceremony, becoming a new adult, is every bit as important a rite of passage as a child dedication or a marriage or a ceremony of commitment. We don't often mark them specifically in our congregations. Maybe it's because becoming an adult is more of a transitional period rather than a specific event, like a birth or a death or a marriage. It's sort of an acknowledgement of the many steps that it takes to realize one's own true self as a separate entity other than child of, a recognition of how we have been shaped by our many experiences up to this point. So I'm going to invite you, remind you to sign our cards, and invite you to sing, sitting right where you are, "There's a river flowing in my soul."
Telling me that I'm so
Would you all join me in a moment of prayer and reflection? The God that we know and we see love and kindness and hope and justice be with us on this day. Whatever that is that keeps you going, that holds us together, that have given inspiration for generations, whatever that spirit, named or unnamed, is, please be with us today. And this month, help us hold dueling realities. Help us to hold all those who need a month just to acknowledge the strength it takes to be who you are. Help us to hold all those who are brave enough to be their full selves, no matter the cost. And also help us hold that this month marks the beginning of a season that is frightful for many in this state. Help us to remember we do not have control over the weather or over some of the circumstances of life. But help us to know that whatever the world may bring, we do it together and we do it with our minds geared towards love. Help us to hold all those with broken hearts, all those who long for hope, all those who are trying to find sobriety or health or a way to keep going. May you know you are loved. Amen. We have a few. We have a few cards for you to sign in the reception area. There's a card for both Bruce Blaney and Christine Cook. Both are recovering after a hospitalization. So we're just going to keep them in our thoughts and our prayers. And a little more about the hymnals. What we are doing is we have a hardbound hymnal for every youth who's becoming an adult. And we would love for those hymnals to be full of the names of members and friends of this church so that they can bring that with them. And I would recommend signing on your favorite page, like the page that has your favorite hymn. Sign on that page. There's readings in there. But to have as many names filling that book as possible, I think, is part of our goal. This ritual we have is open to everybody, visitor and member alike. We'll invite those who wish to come forward either along the west or the east wall. Take a stone, let it represent whatever's on your heart or your mind. Place it in the chalice bowl and be a little more present, a little more with us. We now invite those who wish to come forward online, type it into the chat. Those who wish to come forward as we place stones. And we say together, with hope to make this a better world, we light this flame. Its light is the symbol of the power of love.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, through every land, by every tongue.
So since this is the beginning of Pride Month here at our church, and since so many of my reflections about sabbatical revolve around family time, I thought I'd start by reflecting on what that means to each of us individually and all of us collectively. So I'm going to start with a quick story from a friend and colleague, Liz James. It's the story of how she and her polyam family were welcomed into her Unitarian church by Pat, the church matriarch, years ago in Canada. If you want to read the whole story, there's a new book out from Skinner House, available on Kindle, called Love at the Center. It's the book all of today's readings are drawn from. Love makes a family, Pat said firmly. It's kind of our thing. I did sort of know that. I mean, I'd seen the rainbow triangle on the church sign. I'd seen the rainbow sticker on the Director of Religious Education's door that said, "Ask me about family values." I just didn't realize that might apply to me. "This is what we do," Pat said. "This here is the point of it all." And as she said this, she waved a hand in my direction in a sweeping gesture. I thought she was gesturing to us and our little family. It would be much later that I would learn how much more she was talking about. All the families, the weird ones and the normal ones and the ones in between, the ones with or without kids, with or without partners, the ones made out of knitting clubs and the networks of friendships formed in gay bars. It was a hand sweep that gestured not just to families, but to all the ways we connect. These connections, every last one of them, are the point of it all the things that love makes. Every week in worship, this church had said, "Whoever you love," and they meant it. So the lesson this morning is a storybook. It's called Love Makes a Family by Sophie Beer. You have asked me lots of times what family means in family ministry, and the answer is always all the families. Like Liz says, the ones with kids or without kids, with or without partners, with or without pets, the chosen family, the families related by genetics, and all the families that are a mixture of all of the above. So as we go through these pages of this children's book, I'm going to ask you, where are you in this picture? Is there something about this picture that reminds you of your family, past or present? Or maybe another family in your circle? What is it that makes this a picture of family?
Love is waking up bright and early.
Drums, maracas, a curled-up cat, sleepy parents. How is this picture like your family?
Love is baking a special cake.
A birthday cake, presents, a hungry puppy, grown-ups with glasses. How is this picture like your family?
Love is knowing where everything is.
Things all over, one shoe on, one shoe off, one person who can find everything. How is this picture like your family?
Love is finding the biggest puddles.
Playing in the rain, a soaking wet dog, laughing together. How is this picture like your family?
Love is lending a helping hand.
Tears, frustration, resolving a problem together. How is this picture like your family?
Love is watching from the front row.
Dress up, make-believe, popcorn, applause. How is this picture like your family?
Love is playing on the weekend.
A treehouse, curling up in some place maybe you don't quite fit, having tea. How is this picture like your family?
Love is making things better again.
Ice cream cones, upsets, making tears go away. How is this picture like your family?
Love is washing away the day.
A warm bath, giggles, water all over the floor. How is this picture like your family?
Love is reading one more book.
A cozy blanket fort, books everywhere. I think I even see Owl and Minnie. How is this picture like your family?
Love is chasing monsters.
Listening to each other, caring, chasing away fears. How is this picture like your family?
Love is a kiss before bed.
Sleepy puppy, bedtime snuggles. How is this picture like your family? So many of you have asked what I did on my sabbatical. For those who don't know, I have just come back from 5 months on sabbatical leave, which is something Unitarian Universalist churches offer to their professional staff, a chance to renew and relax. You don't have the expectation that I will have actually accomplished a big project or something I'm bringing back to you, but you've been genuinely curious and hopeful that I have been relaxed and renewed, and the answer is yes. I went to every Mardi Gras parade that I could squeeze in. I got to read fiction. I did puzzles. And most important of all, I got to spend tons of time with my family, my kids, my friends, my chosen family, and loads of time with my partner. I'd have to say that what I learned, what I relearned really, is how important it is to have time with the people you love, no matter what form or shape your family takes. No matter how it changes over time. It's the little simple things that keep you close. Eating together, playing games, having conversations, taking walks, working through the hard stuff, sharing hugs and affection, just being present with each other. My takeaway is the simplest truth of all. Make the time to be with the people you love. Cherish every moment, whether it seems mundane or profound. And as to how we can all support each other in doing that, that's the next segment of the sermon.
All right, before I get into the offering, you said you didn't produce anything. Well, so the goal of the sabbatical is not to produce anything, right? It's just because working at a church is so ambiguous and takes so much time outside of sort of regular 9 to 5 times, we need breaks in ways that other professions, actually every profession needs it, but ours is just a weird profession. But you did produce something. Yes. There is a curriculum that I don't know that it's, I would say you wrote, but you would probably say you compiled.
I wrote it.
Period, wrote. Good, I'm correct. A curriculum she wrote that the UUA has published while she was on sabbatical. So we have reached the offering portion of the service, and this is the start of a new month. And what we are doing for this offering is we're going to share it with a new organization, because every month we share it with a different organization. And this is both one of the, well, let me start with the confusing. This is going to be the most confusing organization I will ever describe. So this month we are sharing with Preach. There we go. Which is an organization in Baton Rouge that is led by the minister whose name I thought I had pulled up on my phone, and I don't have it up. Someone has it? Reverend Anderson. So here's the problem with preach. One, it's an ungoogleable term. You can Google it, but you're not going to find this. Second, I do have a list of all of the things they do, and it is so comprehensive it makes no sense for me to describe it to you. What I mean by that is, here, I have it pulled up. They focus on giving girls and women's options based on knowledge, the potential for self-sufficiency and interest. They work on providing food for families. They work on basic life skills, youth engagement, rent help. I talked to a member of the church. I said, can you help me articulate what exactly it is that we are supporting? And he said, they are doing everything that this church could be doing at its very best. Not as a criticism of this church, but as an example of how to get out into the world in a real and deep and engaged way and help people who are in need. Which you can't Google, but that is what Preach does, and it is the beginning of a partnership this church is trying to have with this organization, and I would love for us to give very generously for the entire month of June to Preach. And with that, I will ask you to give very generously as this morning's offering is gratefully given and received.
Beloved community is created and sustained as a circle in time, manifested in diverse moments and places in which past, present, and future are gathered through love. Love embraces the path through faithful covenant with ancestors. Love looks to the future as people work to build a better world. Love finds immediate realization in the here and now among those who rejoice in the good that is found, who embody compassion and kindness, and who engage in what needs to be healed, mourned, or repaired right here, right now.
Beloved community is sustained and created as a circle in time. It looks to the future as people work together to build a better world and engage with what needs to be healed or repaired right here, right now. So one of the things that I spent some time pondering on my sabbatical was how to make this job, this calling for me, sustainable. For me, for the church, for the long haul. Some of that sustainability has to do with creating and holding tight, both to the long haul purpose, that beloved community that Reverend Parker wrote about, but also directly and personally holding tight to some boundaries for myself. And Nathan is going to cringe when I say this, and so does Reverend Chris, but no more 12-hour days, no more 70-hour weeks. After lockdown, it's amazing to me how the hours incrementally added up until I found myself working far more than is sustainable for me or for y'all as a community. So I've decided Tuesdays and Thursdays are office days, Wednesday is a writing day, Friday and Saturday are flex days, and Sunday is church day. I'll take some study leave when I need to write curriculum instead of trying to squeeze it between other things. Those are the individual things that I can work on. But some of this shift to sustainability is communal. One of the things that I realized, again, it's not so much learning as it is relearning, is that religious education or lifespan programming or family ministries, whatever it is that a church calls this ministry of learning and growing and creating community, it is not the work of one person. It is the work of the gathered community together, shared between the paid staff and the people of the church. And so I'd really like to take a moment to thank all of the people who made the work of the church sustained during the time that I was on sabbatical. Sabbatical planning team, 3 children and youth teaching teams, adult education team, OWL management team, OWL Our Whole Lives Sexuality Education, materials preparation, postcard ministry, email support, Sunday morning site volunteers. I actually started to write a list of names and realized there were almost 50 of you, and I was terrified I was going to forget someone. So I am going to lift them up as a group. I deeply appreciate each and every one of you. I know your church community does, and I'm going to give the church an opportunity to appreciate yourselves for all of the work you did. Give yourselves a round of applause. So one of the risks for me in this work is that I am a see the need, put your head down, just do the work kind of person. It is one of the many ways that a working class background plays out in my personal life. It's a tendency to believe that one's worth is dependent on how much you do, to work until the job is done, even if the job is never done, to fill in the gaps so that this thing that you have taken on will be judged as good even though nobody's judging. That is, let's just say, it is not sustainable. Not for me, not for you. It's an easy path to slide down, but it is not sustainable. So one of the things that I picked up while I was on sabbatical is a mantra from Sanctuary Boston, which is another UU congregation. No volunteering without joy, no teams without purpose, no projects without leaders. And when I translate that to our setting, I see the need to involve more people in supporting our communal work. So looking at our Sunday morning programs for children and youth, we have some teams that have been in place for a very long time. They are doing great work, and they could use some additional energy. Wouldn't it be great if we had enough teachers for our Sunday morning classes, that our longtime teachers could take a few months off from teaching without guilt or worry that no one will be there for the kids? Volunteers need sabbaticals too. We have our whole lives classes coming up next year. Wouldn't it be great if we had enough folks to teach Sunday morning classes that our OWL teachers would not have to teach Sunday morning and then come back for OWL in the afternoons? We're getting there, but we're not there yet. Looking at our adult classes on Sunday mornings, wouldn't it be great if we had a team of folks who taught our faith and exploration classes, the classes that introduce our church, our faith, our branches groups, the symbols of our faith. The folks who taught those classes during my sabbatical can tell you how meaningful it was for them. We have built the framework. Now we need to build the team. Wouldn't it be great if we had a team of folks for our spirit and practice classes, our spiritual practices, art, storytelling, money management, because budgets are a spiritual practice too. Wouldn't it be great if we had a planning team for the big picture for our Sunday morning adult education classes? And if we added more social activities, potluck dinners, game nights, fire pit gatherings, movies in the fellowship hall, field trips, all the ways to build community outside of Sundays. We already have some great multi-general stuff going on. Wouldn't it be great to have a planning team or coordinating team so we have more ways to grow and deepen and develop relationships among our church families of all shapes and sizes? Speaking of planning and coordinating, we had really strong help on the admin end of things while I was on sabbatical. Folks who prepared materials for classes, volunteers on the planning team, prepped materials, sent postcards, restocked tables, stayed on top of emails. Wouldn't it be great to have a team of folks who helped with the behind-the-scenes work. Talk to me if any of these things have gotten your creative juices flowing, if there's something that sounds exciting to you. And remember, no volunteering without joy, no teams without purpose, no projects without leaders. As our next hymn says, we will build this house together.
This is our hymn of the month, so we'll be learning it. Maybe a little bit unfamiliar at first, but I think you'll get the idea. Shelter from all harm, with the open door of justice, we will build this house. We will build your warmth, a house just right, a house to keep away the darkest night, a house of hope, a house of peace, a house where all within may safely sleep. We will build this house with the strength of our arms, with the love of our neighbors. We will build this house. We will build this house as a shelter from all harm. With the open door of justice, we will build this house. A house of flint that bind us all. How we're connected, whether great or small. A house of dignity, a house without shame, a house with walls bearing all our names. We will build this house with the strength of our arms, with the love of our neighbors. We will build this house. We will build this house as a shelter from all harm, with the open door of justice. We will build this house. It seems so simple, it seems so sweet, a roof above you and enough to eat. In this rich place, in this world of cares, how much do we need to have enough to share? We will build this house with the strength of our arms, with the love of our neighbors. We will build this house. We will build this house as a shelter from all harm, with the open door of justice. We will build this house.
When I asked my mom if she believed in God, rather than saying no, she changed the way I thought about one of the most central theological questions. The answer: if I were to believe in God, I would believe that God is love. This changes the very nature of the question. To have a deity at the center makes the core question one of belief. To have love at the center invites the deeper question, how are we to live? Because love is a verb and a way of being in a relationship. Unitarian Universalism is an active faith. To outsiders, we are known for our justice and advocacy work in our communities, and this is something to be proud of and to continue. May we always be a justice-seeking, justice-making people. At the same time, there are those who mistakenly believe that justice is the heart of our faith. Justice is the outward manifestation, our belief, in the fundamental interdependence of all life, and the moral and faithful call to have these bonds of interconnection be woven in love. In other words, we work for justice because we center love in our religious lives.
So one of the things, our General Assembly is coming up at the end of June. General Assembly is the denominational gathering where we gather to do the work of the denomination. It's online this year, so it's going to be a lot of business and a lot of workshops. And one of the things that's going to be part of that is this idea that love is at the center of our faith. I'm expecting to hear a lot of discussion about that. That is part of why, as I was looking at readings for this morning's service and thinking about Pride Month, this being the beginning of Pride Month, and the love that drove my time in sabbatical, the individual love, and the larger love, it's part of why I picked the readings that I did, to kind of elaborate on this idea that love is at the center of our faith. Love guides the justice work that we do. So my sabbatical time was bracketed by two larger experiences that centered both love and justice. They're experiences that were deep and rich and meaningful and life-giving. So in January, I was able to be part of a training of trainers, of facilitators for Our Whole Lives. If you're not familiar with Our Whole Lives, you'll hear me talk about it a lot. It is the UUA and UCC, United Church of Christ, combined together to write lifespan quality sex education for all ages, age appropriate, that teaches about relationships and consent and bodily autonomy, the right to be who you are, and the right to know how your body works, and the right to make your own choices about that. So if you can imagine 20 trainees and 4 trainers in a retreat center on an island in the middle of the Salish Sea, otherwise formerly known as the Puget Sound, in the rainforests of Northwest Washington, a beautiful setting with 20 people passionately committed to this idea that human sexuality is a holy thing and that human beings have a right to know and understand their bodies and make choices about them. In providing that quality, accurate education, people who are committed to learning ways to make our whole lives more accessible for folks of all genders and races and neurodiversity. It was easily one of the most spiritual experiences that I have ever had, one of the more meaningful weeks I've ever spent. I am so grateful to have been part of it. And then I ended my sabbatical the first week in May at the Sacred Conference in New Orleans. Sacred stands for Spiritual Alliance of Communities for Reproductive Dignity. It's multiracial, multicultural, multi-faith, multi-ethnic, mixed gender and sexual identity alliance of spiritual leaders and organizations collaborating to advance reproductive justice through education, through community building, through shared experience, and through direct service. And so for 4 days in New Orleans, we worshiped and learned and shared experiences. Again, one of the more amazing experiences I've ever had that I'm so grateful to have been a part of. One of the things that I learned there was a deeper and more encompassing framework for reproductive justice, and I offer it to us as a framework to consider. 1, the human right to maintain personal bodily autonomy. 2, the human right to have children. 3, the human right not to have children. 4, the human right to parent the children we have in safe and sustainable community. That is a vision of reproductive justice that just makes my heart come alive. So here at the beginning of Pride Month, in a state that seems hell-bent on rolling back rights for so many people, I stand here joyful and excited to be in a place where we are actively working to provide good, healthy education about bodies and sexuality, where we are actively working to be anti-oppression and anti-racist, where we are actively working for reproductive justice. As Susan Frederick Gray says, we are doing justice because love is at the center of our faith. And this love, this joy, thank you. That is how I feel. Yes, it is exciting, and it is uplifting, and it brings a love and a joy and a strength to my life that doesn't actually necessarily make sense when I look at it in the rational, mundane world. It's something that springs from inside me, from my work in this community, that comes from being one small part of the larger circle of justice seekers and justice makers that can and will bring more compassion and love into existence in this world. May it continue to be so for me, for you, and for all of us. And now I would invite you to stand as you are willing and able and join us in our closing hymn, This Joy That I Have.
This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This peace that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This peace that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This peace that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This verse that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away.
And so, my friends, as you go out into this world, may you be a justice seeker, may you be a justice maker, may you feel yourself surrounded by the love and support of this community. May you make the world a little bit better because you are here. Go in peace, go in joy, and know that you are loved.